made a thing. Hello guys. So today I'd like to cover something that's been not necessarily big in the news, because I can't say I've really seen much, despite the kind of hype that some kind of outlets and media sites are kind of saying it is, and that is Article 13. Now, for those of you who don't know what Article 13 is, it is a piece of legislation that the EU is trying to push forward, or kind of has agreed on. Now, a lot of places are saying that Article 13 will kill media sites such as YouTube, Vimeo, places like that, really. But what I would say is, will it really? And I don't think it will. It's really more, from what I've gathered, something just to make sure that copyright is actually enforced. Now, having read through what Article 13 is, the kind of basic gist of it is that if people use copyrighted material, then that copyrighted material should be removed by the kind of content host. So, for example, if somebody uploads something to YouTube that is copyrighted, then it's YouTube's responsibility to take it down. It's not the content uploader. And it's about kind of making sure that copyrighted material is identified properly, and the people that created that content are credited properly, whether that be financially or that they stipulate the kind of contract that they have. So if it's a Creative Commons one, then they make sure that they make it aware that it's being used under Creative Commons. And that's really what it should be anyway. Article 13 isn't out to destroy creativity and the right to use content, but it's more about making sure that content creators are looked after. And that isn't a bad thing. You do a Google image search, and 9 times out of 10, you can acquire said media. So, if you search for trees, for example, you can find a picture of trees, and you can save that image. But that image is copyrighted, more than likely, and you're not getting the rights to use it. Whether you're not making money off of it is a completely separate question, and kind of goes in more to the morals of it all. But if you create something, you have the right to make money from it. I upload content to Adobe Stock. Now, it's never going to replace my day job, but I like the thought that I can sell content I've made. That I've taken a photo that I think will work well within a magazine or something like that, and that people can use it, but I get the kickback from them using it, which I should. I've taken the time to make that content, so why shouldn't I get paid? And this really is what Article 13 is really laying out. So, for example, paragraph 1 here, information society service providers, so YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, things like that, shall, in cooperation with right holders, take measures to ensure the functioning of agreements concluded with the right holders for the use of their works or other subject matter. So basically, that places like YouTube will make sure that people who have the rights to media can hold on to those rights and enforce them. to prevent the availability on their services of works or other subject matter identified by right holders through the cooperation with the service providers. So basically making sure that content creators are notified of their content being used. That's not a bad thing. That's kind of fundamental to copyright. Those measures, such as the use of effective content recognition technologies. Now, recognizing content isn't an easy job. We turn to AI and supercomputers to be able to crunch through data to recognize content. And that's fine, as long as that system works. And 9 times out of 10, it does. So those measures should be appropriate and proportionate. That's really just saying, make it work for the platform. The service provider shall provide right holders with adequate information on the functioning and deployment of the measures, as well as, when relevant, adequate reporting on the recognition and use of the works and other subject matter. So really, we'll let you know that our system is in place and that it's working. Not a bad thing. Paragraph 2. Member states shall ensure that the service providers referred to in paragraph 1 put in place complaints and redress mechanisms that are available to users in case of disputes. So, there's been a red flag raised. You've been notified that your content's being used. Somebody wants to fight that claim. That's basically what YouTube does already. There's a system in place to allow that, and it works to some degree. I'm sure some people have been robbed by it. Some people have gained content when they shouldn't have. No system's perfect. Member states shall facilitate, where appropriate, the cooperation between the information society service providers, YouTube, etc., and right holders, content creators, through stakeholder dialogues to define best practices such as appropriate and proportionate content recognition technologies, taking into account, among others, the nature of the services. So basically, places such as YouTube will work with content creators to ensure that the systems in place to recognise your content work. Once again, really not a problem. That's what you want to know. You want to know that the systems in place to protect your work actually function as it should. So I really don't see what people are kind of being scared by. It's not a bad thing when content creators get the chance to make sure their work is used properly and fairly. You wouldn't walk into a supermarket and just take stuff off the shelves in the same way that people take media. And like I said, if you're not monetizing things, or you're using media in a way that is not going to make you any money, I think most content creators, to be fair, wouldn't mind you using it anyway. I think most would really just like hey, I'd like to use this, we're not going to make any money. If we do, we'll give you your cut in an email. And that's absolutely fine. Most people will turn around and go, yeah, that's brilliant. That's the way I want it to be. But in none of it really does it kind of bind content creators or content hosts in any negative way. It doesn't say that you can't use content in a fair use context. And yes, this is part of a huge document, and I'm not going to get into it all, and I haven't read it all. And yes, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't necessarily say one way or another. But you are allowed to use media within a fair use context. So what is fair use? So in a really quick summary, that no doubt doesn't do it justice from a legal sense, and I'm quoting here, fair use is any copying of copyrighted material done for a limited and transformative purpose. So fair use is any copying of copyrighted material done for a limited and transformative purpose, such as to comment on, criticise or parody a copyrighted work. Such uses can be done without permission from the copyright owner. And that's fine. So if somebody creates a photo and uploads it somewhere, and somebody alters that photo to a degree that it is considered a unique piece of work, that is fair use. If somebody uploads a clip somewhere and that is used in a parody sense, that's fine. If somebody uploads a review of something and that review is criticised within a kind of fair way, so I felt that you didn't cover items such as this, I felt that your delivery was skewed because of kind of allegiances or payments made to you, that's fine. You can still do that, and that's fine. I think most people wouldn't mind that, really, as long as you're not necessarily kind of pulling the work apart and really kind of copying it in its kind of original format and then making money off of it. So if you were to upload somebody's clip of something or a review, and you pretty much played the whole thing and then at the very end just said, I don't like it, that's not really going far enough to qualify as fair use. So to kind of summarise, Article 13 really won't kill content providers' ability to serve content, and it won't kill off hosting sites such as YouTube, Vimeo. It will just mean that content creators can go to bed at night with a better sense that the content they've created will actually be used in a way that will allow them to make a living from it. And that is never a bad thing when content creators can make a living from the content they create. So, yeah. Cheers for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and by all means, comment, subscribe, you name it, really. And yeah, have a good day. Cheers, guys. Bye.